Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Winnipeg Jets post-game show presented by Budweiser. I'm Sara Orlesky, joined by Mitchell Clinton. Game 54 of the regular season for the Jets. First time that we have seen a shootout.
Yes.
For the team this
Thrilling.
season. Thrilling shootout. The Winnipeg Jets 3-2 winners on this Valentine's Day over the Seattle Kraken. As mentioned, it took a shootout in order for it to happen, but Mitch, when you look at it, so they were down 2-1 heading into the third period, but when you look at the play overall, do you think that the Jets are going to be not obviously just very happy with the outcome, but with their overall level of play?
I think so, yeah. Like outside of, a really bad bounce, that was that for vocabulary, a really bad bounce in the second period that leads to the Seattle Kraken power play goal to put them up 2-1. I mean, the Winnipeg Jets played just a sensational hockey game, I thought. Yeah, of course, they're professional athletes. They're going to find little things to nitpick. But I thought up and down the ice, you could pick any analytic you want. The Winnipeg Jets held the edge. And it just kind of felt being down 2-1 after 40 minutes, dominating the shot clock like they were. It almost felt like an injustice. But yet, Rick Bowness shuffles the lines a little bit in the third. They get a little bit of a push. They tie the game. And Bowness shuffles them kind of back to what they were before, but keeps a couple of little things. And I just saw it throughout the game, full 60 minutes. I thought the Winnipeg Jets were the better team.
We will take you into the dressing room shortly. We will also hear from Neal Pionk in a moment. Shots 40-29 in favor of the Jets this evening. And I mentioned that Neal Pionk would join us momentarily. Who knew it was right at this precise moment? So let's turn over. Neal, thanks so much for joining us. When you look at this, Mitchell and I were just discussing about the way that this team played overall. Yes, it took a shootout to be able to get the job done, but when you look at the overall play that you guys had tonight, what is it that stood out to you most? What are you happiest about?
The start. That was kind of a point of emphasis in the locker room. I think, what were the shots, 6 or 7-0, so it was pretty good to start. And then, they had a couple chances there at the end of the first period. They had a couple power plays, but even halfway through the second, I don't even know if they had a shot. They got a couple goals, and I like how we responded as well.
One of the things that Rick Bowness had said heading into the game was he talked about the need to control the pace that Seattle tries to play at. What is the key to being able to do that tonight?
Well, just get in front of them. On top of that, let's just maintain the puck. If we have the puck, they can't skate that fast. So, and when we dump it in, we got to stay over them, and D got to have good gaps. So it's all the little things that slow them down. What is
it? Describe for me what it's like on the bench as you go into the shootout.
Hoping I don't go. I know my job's over, so I kind of unbutton the helmet, get loose, and cheer on the guys. No, it's really fun. We have a pretty good shootout team, and Ritter did a great job as well.
Finally, just Josh Morrissey ties the franchise record for points by a defenseman. Give us from a defenseman's perspective, not just someone that often plays obviously beside him, but just from a defenseman's perspective, what is it about his game that you appreciate most?
The consistency. Not only is it every shift, it's been 53 games in a row. He's been our best player, best defenseman. So, the impressive part too, he's got whatever it is, 45 assists, franchise record, but he could have more, right? Like he's created that many opportunities for us. So, he's been our best player. It's fun to watch.
Congrats on the win. We'll let you get back in there, but we might have to suggest to Rick sometime soon that maybe he just shakes things up, gives you that chance in the
Please
shootout.
don't.
Thanks so much, Neal. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
He's hilarious.
I don't think, I often say that Dylan DeMello is underrated in terms of his sense of humor. Neal Pionk is as well
right up there
for it. So he mentioned, the way that they were able to control the play. You said it as well. Analytics tell you the job that they did. Yep. So it's easy to look at often the job that do at the top six. Let's talk about that Adam Lowry line. For it. They didn't find their way onto the score sheet in terms of goals, but I feel as if they did everything else and led by number 17.
Yeah, and there's a reason that I think Rick Bowness likes to put that line out to start. Mason Appleton certainly playing against his former club. He's been with the Winnipeg Jets for a while, but Adam Lowry's just a guy, he's been snake bitten offensively, but this is, he's got no stick on the penalty kill, and this is the same sequence. And another block. This one goes out. Crowd goes nuts. Bench goes crazy. This is the kind of thing that Adam Lowry brings to the game. Yes, he would love to get on the score sheet and be able to, help his team out a little bit more. But he's winning faceoffs. He was only 50% in the dot tonight. Statistically, he might argue that a little bit. But he was. I just thought, throughout the game, he gets second star tonight. He was. He may not have been on the score sheet, but I just thought Adam Lowry was sensational, and one is going to go for him. He's had too many really good chances, and he's too good of a player for them not to go. But the first thing you look for is chances, and he's been getting those.
Absolutely. about the bottom six, actually, and I think that's the one area that if you were the coaching staff, obviously, that you would look at and say, you've been able to accomplish so much, what we do need is that contribution out on the score sheet.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like they've been without their chances. Mason Appleton hit the post with about 4 minutes to go or 6 minutes to go in regulation. You know how badly he would have wanted that one. Shortly after that, Saku Manalainen gets a pass out in front and he gets a chance. He's slashed. But yeah, if you could just get, an extra goal or two from that bottom six, it really tends to help whenever, regardless of whether your top six is going or whether it's having just a slightly off night and it's just not going for them, if you can get some contributions from the bottom six, and they're, going to put pressure on themselves to do that. But certainly, it's something that I think if, like I mentioned off the top, professionals are always looking for little spots to work on. They're probably just going to want to finish off a couple more plays, but otherwise they've been outstanding.
Yeah, we will talk about goaltending situation in a moment because a surprise going into today, that it wasn't Connor Hellebuck in net. We will get to that in a moment, but let's head inside the dressing room and hear from Pierre-Luc Dubois.
That's what Laus does. He does everything he can for the team and everything in his possible for us to win, and that was huge for us tonight.
Did you call that bank on your goal?
Yeah, it was a pass. I thought somebody was backdoor, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Billy.
All right, obviously joining that scrum late for it, so you will want to make sure that you go onto the Jets website afterwards where you'll be able to hear all of Pierre-Luc Dubois' availability with the media. The goals tonight coming off this of Blake Wheeler, Dubois, who, was credited with it, certainly. Yeah. We saw a couple, he'll take it. A goal is a goal, and then the shootout winner from Dubois as well. The Winnipeg Jets, this is then 5 games at home, spread out because we had the All-Star and the player break as well, but they are about to head out on the road as well. When you look at their upcoming road trip, they head out for their next 4 games for it, beginning this Thursday in Columbus. It is a tour through the Metropolitan Division. As you take a look, they are 4-5 against the Metropolitan so far this season.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at games like Columbus. This is a team that came into Canada Life Centre and beat the Winnipeg Jets earlier, so certainly they're going to want to get Pierre-Luc Dubois a win in Columbus because it didn't go so well last year when they went there. And then so many of those teams in that New York area, the Islanders just got Bo Horvat, Vladimir Tarasenko, who the Jets are obviously very familiar with. Now with the New York Rangers, the New Jersey Devils are a much improved team from last year. That's going to be a real difficult road trip for the Winnipeg Jets, and that's just the Metropolitan Division this year.
Yeah, as the Jets try to continue to climb just that much closer, gained another 2 points, tried to get closer to the Dallas Stars in that race for tops in the Central Division. I mentioned goaltending in this one. Now, this morning, Connor Hellebuck not out on the ice, and he was going to be a game-time decision under the weather for it, so we knew it was a possibility that David Rittich would start tonight. He's actually started all 3 games against the Kraken. Tonight's game wrapped up the season series between the two clubs for it. Did you like what you saw from Rittich this evening? Yeah,
especially given the fact, I mean, we talk about the player break. I mean, given the amount of time that Rittich was without game action, I thought he was really good. First period, rebound control was really good. He made some scrambling saves like he saw there. And then as the game went on, he was just everything that the Winnipeg Jets could hope for. Goes 2 for 2 in the shootout. Seattle couldn't even get their third shooter out there because the Winnipeg Jets sealed it before that. In overtime, he made a couple of big stops later on. But you could see, with the game kind of in a precarious position, I thought David Rittich was really good. And we talked about the power play goal that does get by him. That goes off 2 sets of skates. Not a whole lot you can do there, but just like I said, snaring pucks out of midair. He makes a couple of big stops on Jordan Eberle. And here in the shootout, this one on Eberle was really good because he's looking for that 5-hole, but Rittich's able to get down real quick to seal that off. Pierre-Luc Dubois, the very next shooter, goes out and ends the game. So I thought David Rittich was really good, especially given the fact you're not really sure if he's going to get the start. But hey, if you see a team 3 times in one season, it can only be helpful for your pre-scout.
Yeah, absolutely. The Jets winning the season series 2-1. Let's head back inside the dressing room and hear from number 17, Adam Lowry.
Job of making the switch and getting Sten kind of on the tee to eliminate some of the cross ice passes, so I could kind of focus on Schultz or whoever else rolled up top. And fortunately, they were a little aggressive, I think, and didn't wait and kind of they attacked me one-on-one, but I was able to be in the lanes and finally deflect one out.
What did you think of the ovation and the show of appreciation from those in the building?
Yeah, it's great. I think it's a little awkward, to be honest, going to the bench, no stick and stuff. But, it feels good to know they recognize, not only the goals or the hits or things like that, but, just the effort. And, we gave up one on the PK, but it was a fluke bounce, I think. Try that. It's not happening a lot. So I thought for the most part, PK was, a real difference maker. We could have gone down 1 or 2 in the first, and to hold steady and, give ourselves a chance going to the second, I thought that was huge for us.
Adam, coming out of the break, in terms of even strength play, how much does that fit the template for how you guys want to play for the stretch heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think for the most part, there's a long stretches where we didn't really give up a lot of grade A's. Obviously there was a few turnovers and things like that where they were able to generate some things, but I thought we did a real good job of our forecheck and not getting caught too low or too aggressive to turn some pucks over and really frustrate them through the neutral zone. They're such a great transition team, I think, that if you can take away that speed coming through the neutral zone, you give yourself a really good chance. And to stick with it, I think going back to that St. Louis game, we were really struggling, and here you go down in the third period and find a way to come back. And same thing tonight. I think tonight we were playing a real good game, and unfortunate bounce put us down 2-1, but we kept kind of creating chances, generating chances, and Doobie gets a huge goal for us, and we're able to win in the shootout.
Don't know what point in the day David found out that he would have had to fill in for Buck. What would you like to say about his performance tonight coming in relief?
Yeah, it's huge. I think we've been very fortunate, regardless of who's in net for us, to know that they're going to give us a chance every night, right? We're spoiled with Helly every time he starts. He's Vezina caliber. I think personally he's the best goalie in the league, but Ritter, when he's been called upon, he's been great. It's a tough role generally. He goes in on back-to-backs, and not a lot of rest for the guys, not a lot of energy, and to be able to play well in front of him tonight, and he was real calm and composed and made some huge saves for us to keep us in the game, and then to shut it down and lock it down in the shootout. That's huge for us too.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
So we come back having heard from Adam Lowry there and just the job that they did, echoing really the same sort of sentiments that we heard from Neal Pionk as well. In what, I had asked Neal about playing with Josh Morrissey, who had set the record, put for assists by a defenseman franchise, and then tied a record as well. So that's going to get eclipsed in short order for it. But you look at tying that record for most points by a defenseman this season. I love the graphic for it, huh?
That's sensational. Sensational work.
It takes me back to, I don't know, whether it be Mario Brothers, early Nintendo days, early playing.
Yeah, well, shout out to you for
Pac-Man.
ever being on a leaderboard like this. I was always the kid that was looking at it being like, one day I'll get on there. My parents just handing me quarters, knowing that that's not going to happen, but they didn't want to, make their boy upset.
No explanation needed with the names underneath him. Dustin Bufflin obviously having set the tone. One of the things that we heard from, actually, I just want to make final note about Josh Morrissey. 6 shots. He had the assist as well, played 27 minutes tonight as well. So an absolute workhorse. And I love to see when he got acknowledged for setting the record, the smile, the wave. I just think it's great the way that he seems to be embracing the fans.
I mean, obviously going to his first All-Star game, he's really it just seems that everything that could go for him this year is going for him, but this is a guy that's worked for everything that he's had, and he talked earlier this year about the fact that, and this is the goal that ends up tying the game, the assist that Morrissey gets to break the record for assists by a defenseman in one season for this franchise. And he's always had that offensive side to his game, but I thought one of the most telling things that he said this year is, when I came into the NHL, being offensive wasn't what was going to keep me in the NHL. He needed to really shore up his defensive game. He needed to be reliable there, and that was the role that he needed to take, and he was happy to take it. And he's just consistently built his game, put the work in every single year to be the best that he can be. And obviously, it's paying off this year, and it's great to see, because he's a guy that, is obviously beloved in that room. He wears an A for a reason on this team, and it's just been really great to see the acknowledgement that he's been getting in the building, the little grin, the wave to the crowd, because I can only imagine what that's like.
Well,
But,
we
I
heard
mean,
Adam say that when
yeah.
he got it, that it was, to be honest, a little bit awkward, even just being. I mean, obviously he was acknowledged for a different
Yeah.
reason than Josh, but just that awkwardness that might go
Exactly.
along with it. Hello. It's
all the
sheepishly-
awkwardness in the world this year, though, that usually means that good things are happening when the crowd's cheering for whether it's individual players or the team itself. I'm all for it. So, yeah, just happy to see Morrissey having the year that he is, and obviously the Winnipeg Jets hope that continues.
Yeah, and they hope that it continues with their success at home as well. There's now 20 wins on the season at home, so they continue to give the fans a lot to cheer about. Let's head into the Matt Frost Media Center now and hear from head coach Rick Bowness.
Zone, then they started throwing it long, knifing it in, sending a guy in, and you guys turned the tide again in the second. I'm just wondering, did that feel like a little bit of a coach's matchup to you?
No, really. No, I don't look at it that way. So we call that zip and tip. All it was going up and getting it in. So that's the way, when you're not generating much and you're not getting any real skating legs going, yeah, it was good for Dave. And, that's what they were trying to do and trying to forecheck us. We were pretty good for the most part, clogging up and slowing them down, coming through the middle and defending the rush. So they made that adjustment just to try to, and they've done that before, so there's no, when you say coaches thing, I kind of expect that it's coming, and we're talking about it on the bench. Okay, we knew before the pre-scout this is what they're going to do, so we kind of anticipated it. But you really, when they're able to do that, it's not like you can stop it. It's just a hard pass, chip it in. Like that's, you're going to, so they're not coming at, they're not skating at us. They're just kind of up in, chip it in, and trying to pressure us. So, yeah, that was, we anticipated that.
So then what would you say accounted for the seemingly really big swings in momentum? Because you guys owned the first part of the first, they owned the second, you came out and, they owned the second part of the first, you came back. Well, if you knew it was happening, why did they have success with it?
Because they're fast. They're good. They're a good skating team. I mean, we were controlling the first period until the penalties. And when you start looking at the minutes of that first period, some of our top players had 3.5 minutes. So they really weren't in the flow of the game, and then we're trying to get them more in the flow of the game in the second, get their minutes up a little bit. But again, they're a good hockey team. So we're not going to go out there and control that game for 60 minutes. They're legitimate, and so when they're coming at us like that, which we knew, they're good. We talked about that this morning. They're a good team. They can skate. They have all 4 lines, and give them credit. And then when we needed to play well, we did.
Third period line blender, was that just again to create a spark?
It wasn't really a blend. Like those guys, I kept the duos together. Doobie and Casey, they're always going to be together. Wheels and Mark. Yeah, and then we just kind of, the Scheifele line was having a tough time defensively, so we had to make that move because they spent a little too much time in our zone, giving up too many chances. So we made that adjustment just to get out of our zone and spend a little more time in their zone in the third. So.
And just the last one for me, David Riddick, at the beginning of the season, you talked about needing your goalie to be 500, your backup goaltender. What are you seeing from him? I know that he came in, this year was a bit of a redemption year for him. It looks like he's easily achieved that.
Yeah, Flats has done a wonderful job with him, and giving him credit because he was not supposed to start tonight. He found out this morning that he was going to start. And hell, he shows up under the weather, so all of a sudden Davidson. So that's the job of the backup goalie, is to be ready when you're called on, like he was today, and then to give us a real good chance to win, which he's done. Every game he's played, he's been outstanding. Flats has done a fantastic job with him. David's a hard-working guy. He's a good teammate, and he's doing the job we need him to do.
Rick, just further to the goalie situation, is Connor healthy enough to fly tomorrow?
He will fly with us tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. For the stretches at 5-on-5 where your team was dominating, how closely did the intensity level of that resemble what you wanted to see
in this final third of the
Yeah,
season?
look, we played a good game, and that's how we want to play, the first and the third, and give them credit for coming back in the second, because, again, they're a good hockey team. Not much separating these two teams. Just look at the standings. So, yeah, that's how we want to play for the most part. We control that first period until the penalties hit. And, so they just all of a sudden get their legs going and in the forecheck and give them credit for that. And then we took over when we had to take over. We had the breakaway. They got a lucky second goal, right? So you got to live with that. There's nothing much you can do with that. It goes off two of our skates. You live with that. Good teams find a way to win, and we found a way.
Considering it's took you 54 games to get to a shootout, the order of your shooters, has that been consistent since the start of the year as a contingent plan?
Well, we're going with those three. Casey and Doobie had been on the ice in overtime a little more, so they were retired, so that's why we started Mark, but he was more rested than the other two. But that's going to be the three we're going to go to.
Is that sequence where, so Pierre-Luc Dubois takes a penalty that I'm not sure how you would have felt about it. I'm not sure if you liked it. They get this crazy bounce of a goal. He gets a crazy bounce of a goal right off the guy that he hit. Like, is that just one of those funny things?
It's hockey.
I
know.
How do you
play 82 games, man? You're going to see a little bit of everything, and that's a perfect example. You keep playing.
And is that, I guess, is the penalty just a case of him getting mad? Is it just a fraction of a second, or how did you see it?
Yeah, that's listen, he's a competitive guy. Right, so when you're a competitive guy, sometimes the emotions get a little bit out of control, but I'd rather calm a guy down than crank him up every day, right? So I'd rather deal with that issue than trying to get the guy going every day. So he's a competitive guy, wants to win. So sometimes you get a little carried away. It's hockey.
Sorry, a different sort of sequence moment where Adam Lowry on the penalty kill gives up his stick, and now he's making multiple shot blocks off the foot. I mean,
that's what teammate he is, and that's why our penalty killing has been so good all year, because guys like him are totally committed to keep that puck out of the end. There's no stick. He has two huge shot blocks, but that's the kind of teammate he is, and he's a great penalty killer, and a big part of the reason why our penalty killing has been one of the tops in the league all year.
What did it feel like when the crowd acknowledged that? So it's
that was outstanding. We love the fans here are fantastic. I love the passionate following that we have from our fans. They're knowledgeable, and they see guys paying the price and to win hockey games, and that's what they want to see. They're paying big money to come see us play. They want to see the effort. They want to see the commitment. They want to see sacrifice to make sure we're playing everything as hard as we can to win hockey games. They're smart, they're hockey fans, and they acknowledge it. And I think that was fantastic.
Sorry, Kenny. I wanted to ask about, did you get what you wanted defensively? When you mixed up those lines, does Maenalainen get the puck out more than Perfetti or Ehlers would have? Is that kind of the thought there?
Yeah, we got better in the third at that. That's why we got going again in the third. Good. Thanks.
I always love listening to him he obviously was asked about the acknowledgement for Adam Lowry and the recognition that he got, which was great to see. However awkward it might have felt for Lowry, you always love to see a guy like that get rewarded for it. All right. So as mentioned, the Winnipeg Jets head out, wrote a couple notes. They said that they've reached 20 wins now on home ice. They become the fourth team in the league to do that. How about this one? Blake Wheeler opened up the scoring this one. When you look at the regulation goals, 7 of them were scored in this season series by the Jets. He or Mark Scheifele factored in or scored 5 of 7 of them, so he continued.
The one that stands out the most is the one that Wheeler scored in the first meeting between these two teams. 5 seconds left in regulation, sent it to overtime, and then in the back of the net, Scheifele to Morrissey, I believe, or Morrissey to Scheifele, either or. But it was. They've just that duo, and Rick Bowness talked about it. Even when he shuffled the lines, he kept a few duos together: Connor and Dubois, Scheifele and Wheeler. And I'm sure there's reason for that.
Absolutely, we thought in overtime that they might have it again, just like we saw in the last game, but no such luck for that one. All right, let's take a look as we wrap things up for our highlight of the night. We saw 2 pucks go in past Philip Grubauer in the shootout. Mark Scheifele. This one is credited with the winner. He went so slow, it drives me nuts, to be completely honest, when you watch Shootout. I like to see some speed in it, although you can't obviously argue with the results. But because of the speed, And the fact that he finished it off there, we're going to give it to Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. And actually, like, I remember Blake Wheeler saying one of the things that, I can't remember which goaltender, whether it was Connor Hellebuck or I think it might have even been Laurent Brossoit back in the day, saying that the one thing that really throws goalies off in a shootout is change of pace. So that's why for a good year or two, Blake Wheeler would always go full tilt and then slam on the brakes right at the hash marks and then use his incredible hands in there. And that's why Mark Scheifele, I think, same thing. But I'm always, however it goes in the net.
It's effective. I'm not saying that it wasn't effective. I'm just saying that I like to see the speed go.
There's a few players in the National Hockey League that I think it's a good 5 or 6 minutes before they get the shot
That's
off. There
what
is
my
that. I
point
will
is.
give you that.
Yeah, absolutely. But the Winnipeg Jets able to come out on top in this one, and the first shootout of the season for them, and it ends in a win 3-2. They're winners over the Seattle Kraken. They now head out on the road for the next 4 games. So we will see you when they return home next. But happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Thanks so much for spending some of your night with us. For Mitchell Clinton, I'm Sara Orlesky. This has been the Winnipeg Jets postgame show.